All right, so 1057 Radio Metro, where it's all about the music. And right now, thanks to our sponsor, Event Cinemas, we are talking about films today. And I'm absolutely thrilled to have the director of the scariest movie of the year today, Sean Byrne, having a chat to me. How are you, Sean?
I'm really great, thanks, Adam. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic, mate. Fantastic. Look, first of all, congratulations. Standing ovation at Cannes, massive press tour around the globe, films being applauded by media everywhere. How are you feeling right now?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's been an exhausted, surreal, wonderful blur. So
Yeah.
I'm really thrilled with the audience reaction at and with the first shark film to be officially selected at Cannes, and I wasn't sure how, it's the first time the audience had seen a finished film, so to get that, to get all the gasps and the laughs and the standing ovation was yeah, a great kind of vote of confidence and a serious relief.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think the beautiful thing about this film is straight off the bat, you mentioned about laughs, and you have this amazing ability, whether it's in The Loved Ones or in Devil's Candy, and particularly in this film, that it's actually a fun experience to sit through. There's been a few horror films lately that have not been overly fun to sit through. Is that something that you look for when you're making a film, Sean, that you can sort of generate a bit of fun as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm as influenced by Jerry Bruckheimer as I am kind of David Lynch, and like, the characters in my films have to kind of earn their survival, but I never want the film going experience to feel like an ordeal. It's always want it to be fun or more like extreme fun, like just a
Yeah.
roller coaster where there are loops in different places and you get to have a laugh as well. Where, I think that's one of the great things about kind of horror is comedy can be situational and quite absurd and not take you out of the reality of the experience, but give you but work as a pressure release at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, not quite Brent and Lola levels of drilling holes in people's heads in this film, but this film, how did the project come to you, Sean?
Well, it was sent to my agent by the producer Brian Kavanagh Jones, who'd done the kind of Insidious franchise among many other films. And as you know, kind of serial killers are that's kind of my pet subject when it comes to my filmography. And so, yeah, my agent just thought that I'd respond to this script, and I did because it's a serial killer film meets a shark film, and they're both very popular subgenres of horror. So from a kind of a marketing kind of point of view, I thought, wow, that's like, there's a chance to really get both of those demographics. But instantly I was taken by the fact that this is the first shark film ever where the shark's not the monster, man's the monster. And Jaws had done such a masterpiece though it had done such a great disservice to the sharks. With every subsequent film following that formula to the point that sharks are now an endangered species. And I just thought, wow, what an incredible opportunity to kind of try and set the record straight and show sharks as majestic creatures and point the finger at kind of where the real dark heart is, and that's kind of us and humanity.
The terror is on board. I mean, it's on the poster, right? I mean, you're safer in the water.
It's safe in the water.
So with the writing process, so Nick had quite a different sort of lighter script coming into this. Is that correct, Sean?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was originally set in California. There are a lot more sharks, and we decided to move it to Australia because it just felt like it tapped into this kind of fish out of water quality that the protagonist had, and how she's running away from a broken kind of childhood, and that it would be fun, this kind of American girl kind of kicking ass in Australia and and playing into all those kind of tourism kind of fears that the rest of the world has about how everything in Australia is going to kill you. So yeah, Tucker kind of changed to more of a Chopper-esque kind of character. He was always charismatic, which is how the kind of spider catches the fly. But I mean, Nick says that. But to be honest, I almost can't remember. Like, I've been working on this script with him for a couple of years, and you get producer notes, and we just went back and forth. And after a while, you start thinking with the same brain. But I think, yeah, I mean, it's once I kind of got my hands on it, then there started to be some other scenes that, like there's some thumb action and just kind of, pushing the envelope when it comes to horror a bit more, and really making sure that the protagonist kind of earns her survival, which I love to do because horror kind of exists
Absolutely.
between life and death. They're the fun moments to milk.
Yeah, and man, I'd be remiss seeing that I am on the Gold Coast and we are a Gold Coast radio station to not talk about the GC and how amazing your DOP, Shelley Farthing Doyle, did an amazing job shooting all the aspects of the GC. Was it always going to be set on the Gold Coast?
Yeah, as soon as we decided to shoot it in Australia, it was always the Gold Coast because I don't know, it feels like it's got that kind of like Miami almost coastline where it's slick and it's inviting in a tourist sense, but there's also a great kind of mystery to the Gold Coast where it feels like you can kind of, if you're kind of shadier, there's places to kind of hide and so yeah, it felt like it captured the sheen and the shadiness that was kind of required.
Absolutely. And as soon as you put the Mermaid Beach petrol station into it, any film, you know straight away that
Oh yeah,
that
that's
you're in
could
a
not
possible
shoot
shady
there.
situation.
But we also had the most incredible
Yeah.
crew. I mean, this was, we shot on water for real, which is which is kind of considered filmmaking suicide and there is no way this could have been done without the Gold Coast crew. In fact, we got really lucky with kind of I think it was when the SAG acted the strikes were happening in the States, and so normally this crew would be on massive American films doing the Marvel ones, and so we got really lucky because shooting on water is such a daunting practical kind of exercise, and it kind of pushed everyone to the edge. But yeah, it's just the Gold Coast crew absolutely blew me away. Like best crew I've ever worked with, and we've been singing their praises around the world because they are truly remarkable.
And you had these guys on set. I was on set last night actually, and freezing cold out the back of Pimpamar. So I know how cold it is shooting in winter in Australia on the Gold Coast. It must have been freezing. So how did Jai and Hassie and the crew and the team go with that?
Oh yeah, I mean it was tricky. I mean, especially for Hassie, she was in the water so often at like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and had a great safety team. We constantly checking and rechecking her temperature, and she couldn't be in the water for too long before we would get her into a hot shower. So it was always it just it was just like practically extremely complex. Even where the boat is kind of moored in the middle of jumping pin with a couple of pontoons keeping it in place. The longitude and latitude geography had to be completely precise because of the strength of the tides and when they change at certain times. It was a really,
Yeah.
really complex undertaking. But in a way, we didn't have a choice. I mean, to begin with, I just assumed it
No.
was going to be shot in a tank, and,
No.
and it was just cost prohibitive. To get a boat that size in a tank is like $80,000 a day. You got to recreate Mother Nature, and tanks always feel quite sterile anyway. So I'm really glad we did it for real. I
Absolutely.
think the audience can feel that danger. But these stories about Jaws and Waterworld don't happen for nothing. So again, it's a credit to the crew that we survived it.
And look, I'd be remiss not to mention the music in this film. I mean, probably one of the best soundtracks to an Australian film I think I've heard since, well, The Loved Ones, probably. Like you got Cretans, the real thing. I mean, you've destroyed my love of Crowded Houses mean to me. Where did all these songs come from? How much of a big hand did you have in putting all these together?
Well, it's sort of a combination. I mean, right from the beginning, Baby Shark was in the script, and Creedence's Ooby Dooby was in the script. But then, I'm a huge kind of needle drop fan, and so we got Stevie Wright's Evie in there because it felt like that's what Tucker would listen to, kind of Australian rock, and it works in a character sense because he does stuff with his trophies with hair. And Mean to Me, we kind of added that because it's kind of narrative. She came all the way from America. She had a blind date with Destiny. This is the first film I think I've made that doesn't have any metal in it, and there was actually some metal that was, the part of the love story thread, but that felt a little bit too heavy when we tested it. And then we got Andrew Katatko, this amazing music supervisor on board, and so he brought
Mm.
Cigarettes After Sex in, and then Fleetwood Mac's Albatross. So it becomes this sort of team effort. But yeah, I love needle drop films just because I find like they're propulsive and incredibly cinematic in that Tarantino-esque way. But like anything in a film, they all have to be justifiable on a character and kind of psychological level. As fun
Yeah.
as they are, they've got to
Uh,
be in there for a reason.
I'm going to have to wrap it up, but the film is amazing. Jai Courtney's performance, I could talk about it for ages. He's absolutely phenomenal. You've got an amazing cast. And Sean, just really quickly, what's next for you?
At the moment, I've got like a sort of procedural, small town procedural serial killer film that's supposed to be shooting in Canada, but it's got multiple financiers, and as we all know, it's been a while between this film and my last, and film financing is very fickle. But that's the next cab off the rank.
Well, mate, we'd be happy to welcome you back to the Gold Coast anytime, please. We'd love to have you back. But Dangerous Animals, in the meantime, is in cinemas on the 12th of June. I highly recommend everyone go and see it because sharks are beautiful and the people on the boats are the scary ones. So well done to you, Sean. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks so much, Adam. Appreciate it.